What is your number? Hi, I'm David Hull. I'm an ex-IFA, now turned money coach, based in Dorset, and I specialise in helping you achieve the life that you want. This is a great book I read many years ago called The Number by Lee Eisenberg. It just talks about the whole concept of how much is enough. What is your number? Everyone's number will be different. And it's worth spending some time just trying to calculate what your number is, and then you can align your finances and your savings towards that. A lot of my clients come to me with the question of how much do they need to retire? In order to work that out, you need to spend a little bit of time, do a little bit of homework with a piece of paper, perhaps going through your bank statements, working out what your non-negotiables are. So what do you need to live your life the way that you want to live it? Not necessarily bare minimums, but a reasonable life that you would be happy with living. And so your non-negotiables, that's things like your rent or your mortgage, your council tax, your electricity costs, your utility bills, basic food, all those sort of costs really that you can't possibly live without. Wi-Fi, Netflix, whatever it might be. Everyone's different. Some people would say, well, don't even have a TV, but you've got to be realistic. What do you want? Your gym membership, your golf club membership. If you play golf, that's pretty much a non-negotiable cost for you. And then the second column that you need to put on your spreadsheet or piece of paper are the negotiables, the things that you can live without. But the things that you would like if you're going to be living your life the way you want to live it. But that's changing your car, whether that be every year, 3 years, 5 years, whatever that might be. New kitchen or renovations to your house, that will come along every now and again, if finance allows for that. Holidays, and it's worth spending a bit of time on, well, what sort of holidays do you want to live? Is that going walking in the New Forest, or is it going walking in the mountains in Peru? Both obviously which will have sort of different costs for you. Helping children and your family and your grandchildren maybe with education or with childcare, those sort of things. And then maybe also charitable donations. So those are things that if you can't afford it, then you probably wouldn't do. But if you can afford it, it's nice to know that you could do that without conflicting your own personal sort of standard of living. I can signpost you to tools that will help you to create those budgets as well. If you want, then just let me know. Sometimes it's easier to work through an online sort of budgeting tool, and there are a number that are available without cost. So then I start talking to clients about, well, how close are you to achieving that? With what assets you have currently, are you close to achieving your required income in retirement, or are you way above or way below? And it's important to know that and get a feel for that. And my financial health check that I offer to clients will really give you some insight into where you sit in that trajectory. Too much, not enough, or enough. That's really essential work, because what I find with my clients is that it's not that they don't have enough money, it's that they don't have any awareness of whether they've got enough money or not. And if you follow that logic through, then the end result is that you get to the end and you realise that you could have spent an awful lot more. How will you feel about that? Will you be gutted? Or will you be, well, that's fine, I'm glad I didn't have those holidays, or change my car, or rejoin the golf club, or buy a new set of golf clubs, or whatever it is, because I've got more money to leave to my children. And your children might thank you for that. But is that really what you were put on this planet to do? Probably not. And so often people won't spend money for fear of running out. And the reality is that you can spend more money than you perhaps imagine and still not run out. That's a great situation to be in. So working with me, doing the financial health check, that will show you where you sit on that trajectory, and therefore you can make decisions based around that. So let me explain why you should work with me rather than with an independent financial advisor. The big difference is the number will be different, because working with an advisor has fees attached to it, whereas working with me, I have a flat fee, and I signpost you to invest with companies where the ongoing charges are a lot lower. So in very simple terms, working with a financial advisor will often cost you in the region of 2% per annum, whereas working with me, often your annual costs are less than 0.5%. massive difference. And the software that I use will really sort of demonstrate and show you what that will look like. So let me give you an example. I had a client recently that I was dealing with, and I've decided to sort of use this as a bit of a case study. But this client was 50 and wants to retire at 65 on an income of £3,000 a month, every month for the rest of their lives. So when we crunch the numbers, and the software allows me to do this, working with an IFA, they require in the region of £479,000 to achieve that goal, £3,000 a month, every month for the rest of their lives. Working with a money coach, where you remove the cost of the advisor costs, and so working with a money coach, I don't know, for example, me, then the amount of money that you will require is in the region of £275,000. So that's a staggering difference. It's about £204,000 difference between working with an IFA, a paid advisor, or working with a money coach. So you need £204,000 less by working with somebody, a money coach, somebody like me. It's a staggering difference. And what does that mean? Well, that means that you might be able to retire earlier, or you might be able to retire on more than £3,000 a month. There's so many different ways that that can play out, worth really looking at. Putting it another way, if you work with an IFA, let's assume you have that pot of £479,000, that working through an IFA would generate an income each and every month for the rest of your life of £2,727. Whereas working through me, then the number is £3,800. It's a difference of over £1,100 every month. Just think about that. What would you do if you had an extra £1,100 every month for the rest of your life? You could do a lot with that. An awful lot. A lot more than you may be doing at the moment or think you can do. So this all might sound like I'm being really anti-IFA. Well, the truth of the matter, I suppose I am. But I think I'm qualified in talking around this subject because I was an IFA for over 30 years. And my driver is not to wipe out all IFAs. I'm never going to do that. I don't want to do that. There's some great IFAs. IFAs refer clients to me. I get a lot of contact from financial advisors, very interested in what I'm doing, the messaging that I'm putting out, and actually referring clients to me that don't have enough money to invest and warrant paying an IFA's fees. And so I know what I'm doing is resonating and is of benefit to clients. That's my driver. I love helping people. I love helping people to spend their money with confidence. And as I say, just go back to that number. In this particular scenario, an extra £1,100 a month. Well, how much will your numbers work out to? Well, that's where I suggest you contact me, or I'll run through the process with you. There is no cost or obligation for the initial meeting. And if you want me to run through the process of the financial health check, that's only £600, which could be a phenomenal investment on your part if that generates an extra income of, in this particular client's case, £1,100 a month, every month for the rest of their lives. So the financial health check looks like this. We'll have an initial meeting, no cost or no obligation. If you decide to go ahead, we'll have another meeting where I just really gather the facts of looking at what your situation and circumstances are at the moment, what investments do you have, where are they, what funds are you invested in, what charges are applied to those investments, what also is going to come down the line. That might be a sale of a business, it might be an inheritance, it might be downsizing your property. Whatever it might look like, we can take all of those into account and then see how closely that aligns to what your goal is. Your goal might be £5,000 a month from the age of 55, whatever, everyone's different, and we'll get those numbers from you, and then I will go away and create the report and come back. We'll have another meeting to go through the report with you and look at various scenarios. And often the difference between achieving what you're trying to achieve and not missing your target, for example, is simply reducing your charges and maybe considering reviewing and maybe increasing the risk on the investments that you have. That's valid and viable, because if this money is there to provide your income for the rest of your life, and you ain't spending that money's there forever, because your need for income ceases upon death. So therefore it is invariably a long-term investment, and you can afford to take a long-term view when assessing what level of risk you take. I'll talk all of that through with you. Whatever happens, this is your money that I'll be helping you to deal with and get to grips with. You've got to be comfortable with the level of risk that you're taking and with the decisions that you make. But what I'm bringing to the table, I suppose, and highlighting and putting in front of you, is the reason behind making some fairly important decisions to enable you to live the life that you want to live, that you might be missing out on at the moment because you don't have the awareness. So it really is worth just doing the simple financial health check. It takes a couple of weeks, 3-4 weeks maximum. You'll then get an action list, a few bullet points and things to work through, and I'll point you in the right direction as far as those things are concerned. And we'll have a check-in meeting sort of 6 to 8 weeks later, just so that there's a degree of accountability, because it's very easy to say, oh yeah, no, I'm going to do all of that, yeah, brilliant, and then you don't. And that's a bit of a waste of time as well. So I'm there to sort of help you talk through, see if there's any blockers, what stopped you from making the changes that you need to make. And it might be just that it slips down your list of priorities, and having that check-in meeting with me will elevate that and hopefully increase the chances of you completing some very meaningful steps that actually needn't cost you a penny. Changing your risk and reducing your charges, that doesn't cost you anything, but it might make all that difference. And I keep harping on about this number. Everyone's different, everyone's number will be different, but in this example that I'm using, the difference was £1,100 per month, every month for the rest of their lives. So check out the link in the bio. You can book an appointment with me. Just go to the link there, book in at a time that suits you. My diary's open to all, no cost, no obligation, and we'll just have a chat and see whether what I do can be of benefit to you. And I look forward to speaking to you. Thanks for listening.